Amanda Kaufman show. My name is Amanda Kaufman, and this week we're talking about growing by narrowing. Growing by narrowing. And this episode is brought to you by the letter F. So I'm right now I'm broadcasting live, and I chose to do this whole episode live because I've been challenging myself so much this year with how can I increase my visibility with people about the process that I'm working through. And the F's we're going to focus on today are fear, focus, finances, and fitness. So those are the 4 F's I'm going to be conquering. And if you happen to be seeing this, to be hearing this, do let me know. And we're going to just go through it. We're going to take it one step at a time. So as we're going through this, one of the biggest fears that I had building an entrepreneurial business, that's what I generally am helping people to do, is to move from the employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset. And generally I'm helping people to do that with a coaching business, consulting, high ticket courses, being a creator, is what will people think? And for the last 6 years, I've gotten more and more comfortable getting on camera, going live. Hey there, nice to see you. And being able to speak extemporaneously has been one of the biggest skills that I've been able to develop over the last several years. Now, the first time I turned on a camera, I still remember it so vividly because I could barely breathe. I felt like my rib cage was caving in on itself. I felt like I could barely get 2 words out, squeaking 2 words out without starting to panic. And it took a long time to learn how to use my diaphragm and breathe. And I also had a lot of training. I learned from a lot of experts about body movement, about using my face, using facial expressions, about how to prepare to be able to speak. There is a lot of preparation that went into it, not the least of which was for, I want to say 2.5 years, 3 years. My husband and I used to sit next to each other going live every single day at lunchtime for at least 30 minutes, Monday through Friday, every single day we would do that. Now, I'm not a stranger to fear and anxiety and that feeling of being afraid. But one of the things that I've really noticed has come up a lot in my practice as a coach is the conversation around fear is coming up more and more among my clients, among my community members. And I thought, it would be valuable to discuss fear more openly with you and my journey around fear, because it's certainly been something that I've realized I've used coaching, I've used programs, I've used being in the presence of mentorship and actually watching videos like this on YouTube and watching videos like this on Facebook and watching stories and finding people that I want to follow online. I've actually used digital mentorship as a really big part of how I've conquered a lot of my fears. And so I want to introduce you to Sabine. Sabine is my fake Persian cat. I have a nefarious end here. And so I'm just going to tell you right now, right up front, I'm going to evil monologue with you. And my villainous evil plot here is that if you figure out that you can be way more confident even when you're absolutely terrified, you're going to have more bravery to ask for the promotion. You're going to have more bravery to start the side hustle, which could become your main hustle. You're going to have more bravery to demand more out of your friendships, out of your relationships. Oh my God, we've got Tori here on Instagram. Hey, Tori. You're going to have more courage to start that podcast. You're going to have more courage to be able to impart the knowledge that you have that's going to help make a big difference. So that's my big evil, nefarious plot. Now, the big evil, nefarious plot that you should know is that I do have people who pay me thousands of dollars as a coach. And what happens is they get to know me and they usually like meet me online. Hey, Tori, they meet me online and they're like, oh my God, I really like what she has to say. They fall in love. And then we end up like getting to know each other. We start talking. One thing leads to another. And, they end up becoming one of my clients. So you've been warned, so I'm going to set Sabine aside here. But the thing is that happens because we have a trusted, amazing relationship. There are literal thousands and thousands of people who never become my client that benefit from my emails that I send every day, that benefit from the Facebook group. We've got 7,000 people in our Coaches Plaza Facebook group who have watched, we've got tens of thousands of views on the free content that we provide absolutely free of charge. And yeah, a few people want to work with me more closely and they do pay thousands of dollars, right? Thank you. So the cat, Sabine, was because I was stroking the air, right? So I was going like, ha ha ha, evil plot. I make money from what I actually do because I'm actually really good at it. And one of my clients, he sent me an Amazon link for Sabine here. I named her Sabine. She's not named Sabine on Amazon, but he sent me a link for it. And I was just like, I impulse bought this thing so fast. She was in my front door from Amazon faster than I think I hit the buy now button. It was crazy. But I think one of the things that stops us from being really successful, whether it's as an entrepreneur or even as an employee, or even if you're stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home husband or even successful in your friendships, we're not successful with it because we have a hard time feeling like we're maybe evil for asking for what we want or having a good sense of our own boundaries. And so Sabine's a big joke, I don't consider myself to be an evil person. I hope you're kind of picking up the vibe that is absolutely a joke. But I think our fear is that we're going to get rejected. Our fear is that people are going to think lesser of us because we want to make a good living and provide for our family. We want to have a really good product and we want to take our time focusing on it. We want to get totally obsessed with the thing that we're really, really good at. And, there's a lot of guilt and shame and confusing emotions that can come with all of that. And so fear and anxiety can kind of go alongside of that. And so, realizing that you're not a villain if your intentions are clear to you and pure. The big difference between an actual villain and a hero is really the clarity of the intent and the clarity that you're of service and you're choosing service over sexiness. I had the pleasure of talking to several high performers this week who have really good intention in terms of, they've studied their craft for years. They've been practicing and practicing and practicing. They are serious about their craft. I mean, they're investing tens of thousands of dollars in various programs and they are committed to doing a great job. And I would say that the difference between the villain and the hero is the villain is really actually selfish. And the hero is going to be more impact driven, and they're going to be willing to take the risk that they're not going to get the reward. And so the lesson in that is that when you're building a business or an entrepreneurial venture, or when you're wanting to do something that is that next level, choose service over sexiness. I'm on Instagram today and I got my workout gear. This is going to take me, I'm actually going to jump down to fitness here. So we're conquering fear, but a lot of people don't want to go on Instagram, for example, or start their YouTube channel or do their podcast or start their email list or, even tell anybody that they want to do something really amazing with the next chapter of their life because they're afraid of the rejection. And right now I'm wearing my workout gear because, I got to tell a confessional. This is the Amanda Kaufman show, so you get the dirt. I struggle with prioritizing my self-care in the sense of making sure I have enough time to go work on my fitness, get down in the gym, And so I went to the doctor. I've been going to the doctor for the past couple of years, actually, to work on not just my fitness, but my total health, my total biometric health. And, one of the fears that people have is they don't want to tell anybody about something because they think, oh, I'm too fluffy or I don't have the right production quality. If you've been following me for a while, you might have noticed my background changed and maybe my lighting has improved. And what I want to encourage you is yes, pursue excellence. Absolutely. Play with changing the background, play with upgrading your microphone. This is a Rode podcaster microphone, if you're wondering. And this little spider-like thingy is a shock absorber. And, do the research to find out well, what can I do to improve the production quality of what it is that I do? Absolutely do that. Pursue your excellence. But what you want to do is you want to put a time block on it that per day, I'm going to allow my obsession, say 30 minutes a day. I'm going to get totally obsessed with getting better at my craft. But then you need to make sure that extra self-care time is going into self, and don't let the sexiness get ahead of the service. So another way of putting that is never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Oh my goodness, Tori, thank you so much for what you're saying on Instagram. I super appreciate you, my friend. That is just so generous. So fitness, right? Taking the time to go to the gym. What I've been practicing lately is saying the words, I am a gym person now. And really embodying the identity of I am a gym person. And I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm doing it because I want to take a physical break from being in this house. So during the pandemic, I moved my office from being a physical office that was off-site from my house to having this lovely space that is still attached to the rest of our family home. And for a lot of reasons, that's amazing. Notwithstanding the profit move, that was a really, really good move. However, I'm always just 2 seconds away from work. And so by being a gym person, it is forcing me to physically relocate daily out of my home. And just the act of moving somewhere else, going somewhere else, I'm realizing is a big move for my mental health. So even if I just go and walk on the treadmill, that is worlds better than even I have a treadmill literally 2 feet away from me. I've been increasing my step count and working on my fitness just by taking a couple of meetings a day while walking. So that's good. But the difference of moving into a different space location has been huge. How does this relate to you showing up on your social media, showing up for your business, showing up for your side hustle, showing up for your other goals? This is a really good example of embodying your identity. So again, choosing service over sexiness. If you're really serious about building a side hustle or a business, businesses are service. Businesses are service. And yes, profitable businesses are service as well. For a long time I thought, oh, I'm a bad person for wanting to be of service, etc. And hey, nice to see you. So if you're wondering whether you are Why are you not getting more traction on your action on something that you found challenging to to really like get started with? It's probably because you're not thinking yourself as a person of yourself as being a person who does those things. And I know for me, that was 100% it around fitness for the longest time. I didn't think of myself as somebody who really did fitness. I didn't, and similarly with finances, we're going to talk finances too. I have thought of myself as being a great coach for a really long time. And guess what? I'm a good coach. I know how to ask open-ended and empowering questions. I'm always really excited to learn more about that. I'm reading books about it. I'm doing podcasting. I'm observing another really great coach doing their thing. And I'm like, wow, I'm always like so pumped for coaching because I have thought of myself as being the water cooler coach. I have thought about myself being a coach since I was like 12. And so that identity of being the helper, the person who does that has been so ingrained in my personality and in who I am and how I see myself for so long. You guys, I'm the oldest of 4, okay? So like the identity of being someone who helps, the person who holds space, the person who is willing to like be that supportive voice, that is not anathema to me. Like that is so like, yep, totally, right? And then when I became a mom, it only just got worse, right? That whole identity, I was able to expand on that because the coach identity is really just someone who's willing to hold space for another person to figure their shiz out. Like a parent is very much a coach. A good parent, in my opinion, is very much a coach. They want their kid to figure things out on their own terms. And, I was a figure skating coach. I was a Girl Guide leader. They're Girl Guides in Canada, not Girl Scouts, but kind of the same thing as in the US. And so with all that leadership training and coaching training, I remember even when I was in my consulting role, I was very much into the coaching, the personal development. Like as soon as I found out there's a thing called people development in my corporate role, I was all over it. I was doing like lunch and learns. I was like doing little extras, like as soon as I could. So the reason I did that though, is because I thought of myself as someone who does that. And so that's why it was always my genius. That was something I was drawn to. The things though that were more gappy for me were things that I didn't think of myself as. I didn't think of myself as a health nut. I didn't think of myself as being particularly good with finances. When I was growing up, and even very recently, I was always kind of told like, oh Amanda, if you ever get money, you're gonna burn a hole in your pocket with it. You're not very good with money. Oh, you're a big spender. Like you're just like a lot of messaging as I was growing up about money, and I think we've all had that where money is just like such a dirty thing to talk about. And so when it comes to finances, it's really interesting because now that I do a lot of coaching around helping people with pivoting from employment to entrepreneurship and the skills around that, a lot of people are really doing it because the underneath of all of that is because their finances are in a twirl. They've had a terrible relationship with money for a really, really long time, even if they have a lot of money. And so that might sound a little strange, depending on who you are. I don't know who you are, but, I'm broadcasting this across a lot of different channels. So, big disclaimer here. I'm not giving you any financial advice in what I'm saying here. But what I am saying in regard to finances and how this kind of comes up with like identity is if you tell yourself, I'm not really good with money, money is the root of all evil. If I want money, then I'm a bad person. Or if I want to be good with money, then that makes me greedy or a bad person, or I'm ashamed of my money situation. Or if you've got like a whole bunch of basically terrible self-talk around your finances or your fitness or your confidence on camera, whatever that is, you're going to have such a terrible time getting that noise sorted out. So when my top piece of advice, if you are a entrepreneur, especially, or if you are entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial, even if you are somebody who's like an ideas person, service over sexiness. Okay. Service over sexiness. So what does that really mean? It's like, well, hey, you want to serve people, and that means being good with your finances. That means looking at the numbers. Hey, most of it's arithmetic. It's not actually like the thing that makes finances so difficult for people is they think that it's more complicated than it actually is. So, when I'm helping people, I'm usually helping them get capable of communicating with themselves with what they actually really, really want, set reasonable prices for premium services so that they can market to people who want to pay reasonable prices for premium services. Just for the record, nobody wants to pay for anything. Okay. Like no one actively is like, hey, I would love to pay, right? No one wants to actively pay a bill, but you can have reasonable conversations with reasonable people that then therefore changes the whole conversation. And when you do a great service, people are like, wow, that was so worth it, so change the whole conversation. That's what I'm saying. So if you happen to be like a coach, consultant, a course creator, and you're like, that sounds amazing, you should definitely come join my group, The Coaches Plaza. And so you can go to www.thecoachesplaza.com and you can learn about marketing. You can learn about sales. You can learn about like, how do you set up your operations in such a way that you're not burning out on the hamster wheel of doom. And if you're, a more established entrepreneur and you're wanting to talk about like your leadership and your, profit choices that you're making, you should come check out my new group called The Corner Office. You can look up both of those on Facebook and join those groups completely for free. Or, you can click around this video and you can be like, hey, Amanda, send it to me. And I will. So cool. So finances, you would be so shocked how many people look like they have their ever-loving beep together and actually they're drowning. And they're drowning because they're just drowning with overwhelm. So that leads me to the fourth F of today in the show. And the overwhelm, you want to know the antidote to overwhelm? Focus, my friends. And that's like the overall overarching theme of the show. You will grow by narrowing. You will grow by narrowing. So what does that mean? It means that a lot of us have been taught that we're going to go further forward faster if we do more and we just add more and we do it all and we're trying to do it all for everybody. So because we love the people in our lives and we want to be cared for, cared about, cared with, we try to take care of not only our agendas and dreams, but everybody else's. And what ends up happening? We end up depleted. We end up like overdone, overused. And so if you're looking at your bank account and you're like, it's not where I want it to be. If you're looking at your waistline and you're like, it's not where I want it to be. If you're not getting enough hours of sleep at night, if you're spending too much time in what I call coping behaviors. So coping behaviors are any kind of behavior that you deploy because you're feeling dopamine deficient, meaning you're maybe scrolling a lot of social media because you're just kind of caught in it and you're not really doing it with some kind of an intent to build relationships. You're not doing it with some kind of an intent to grow your knowledge or to grow your competency. You're not doing it with some kind of an intent. Or if you're overeating, over drinking, overdoing things, and you know it, like, you need to do what matters. That's my motto, is do what matters. And like, It's such a simple 3-word thing, do what matters. But what matters to you is different than what mattered to you 3 years ago. And what matters to you now is so important because your life is short and your life is really long. We've been talking about fear, focus, and finances today, or fear, fitness, and finances today, excuse me. And I say life is short, but also life is very, very long. If month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, you're feeling bad about your fitness level and about your health level because you're just not getting around to making the priority of holding yourself to a higher standard for being in the best health of your life, maybe this is the week that you go ahead and book that doctor's appointment and get your biometrics. Just do it. You know, this past week I went to the doctor and stepped on that damn scale and I knew the number was going to be up. And I was just, my dear husband, he was like, "Are you sure you want to go to the doctor?" And I was like, "I don't, I'm going to go. Damn it, I'm going to go." And it was so hard to go, but I went anyway. And I want you to have that kind of accountability in your life because I'm so glad I went. I'm glad I went because yes, the number went up, but it didn't go up as high as it would have gone up if I wasn't going at all. And we had a high quality conversation about, all right, what do we need to do to double down and lock down on what's been going on that drove that number up? And for me, it's actually about managing stress. And it's about, identifying what are the stressors? How am I addressing that? Like, I'm building stuff, like the stress isn't going to go away. So what do I need to address in my life to make it so that I don't go cope with cookies and those coping things? So again, it's like that narrowing in on what matters, because what mattered 3 years ago doesn't matter now. What matters now to create the growth that we need, right? Finances, same, right? If you're, I had several people that I was talking to this week where they're focused on like everything else, but what the needle movers are to make finances something that is ease and flow. And what they want is they want to not have to worry about it. And I'm saying you can do it without worrying. Do it without worrying. Again, what are you doing now that's different than what you were doing 3 years ago? So let's say 3 years ago, you didn't have like a business you were trying to build and that you were investing in. Now you do. So what are the activities you need to do now that are different than what you were doing 3 years ago when you didn't have this situation? So again, narrowing so you can grow. Again, fear. Part of what makes fear so crazy is we're thinking about all the different things and all the different scenarios, and we're planning for all the different problems that we probably don't even have. So narrowing in and saying, okay, what are the things that are likely versus what are the things that I'm giving anxiety focus on that I don't need to focus on? And putting some actual risk assessment on it, and really what I call staring down the bear and narrowing in so you can really grow. So that's what I had for you today. If you loved this, let me know. And again, come join us in the Coaches Plaza. I hope you loved the show, and we'll see you again next week.